going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Beer Battered Sports Podcast, the podcast created by sports fans for sports fans because we believe that we are the most qualified people to talk about our favorite teams. I'm your co-host Isaac,
And I'm Calvin, aka 40. How you
and
guys doing today?
go ahead. Sorry,
No, I was just saying how you guys doing today.
sorry. Uh, you may have noticed our other co-host Kylie is not here today. She is off this week due to personal matters, so it is just the two of us here today. We still got a great show for you guys. Apologies for anybody who tuned in at 1 p.m. and was like, "Where are you guys?" We had a little bit of a delay, but we're here. We're ready to go, and I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the ever-evolving drama that is the MLB, previewing Week 1 of the NFL preseason, and might talk a little bit about some of the rumors surrounding Kevin Durant too. So there's going to be a lot we're going to get into. As always, big thank you to all of our sponsors out there. And as always, we got some promo codes for you guys. If you go over to www.bodycheckwellness.com, you can use promo code OCS for 25% off all of your hemp-derived CBD oils and edibles for you, as well as your furry friends. Use that same promo code over at www.norsebeards.com. You could get 25% off a check off all of your Beardsman products. Shout out to Norse Beards. I have never been able to get my beard looking as good as it is now, but their products have really been helping out.
Yeah,
Plus,
I'm gonna have to tune in because I just told Isaac before the show started that his beard was looking good. So
now part of that is because I finally came to the realization this past week that my beard is naturally red. So I actually did what I should have done years ago and dyed it to brown, what it should be. And look at it. It actually is full. It actually makes the mustache look good. If your beard is a different color than the rest of your hair, get it dyed because it actually makes you feel so good. Like this looks awesome. But
it's
enough
boom.
about me. Enough about me. We're going to start things off as we usually do, talking about the MLB. And before we talk about anything else, I saw something on TikTok, Calvin. You're a Mets fan. I need an explanation. How the hell did y'all make the World Series in 2015? Somebody posted the starting lineup of the Mets in game one of the 2015 World Series and where they are now. And I'm sorry, I'm going to run through this. Who are half of these guys?
No,
Curtis.
I saw that same. Somebody had posted that on Twitter as well. I saw that the other. I was just laughing.
I mean, Curtis Granderson,
Yep,
David Wright, Daniel Murphy, Yoenis Cespedes, who honestly he's the only one I kind of remember from that World Series.
David Wright as well. He's one of the names I remember from the World Series as well.
Lucas Duda, Travis d'Arnaud. Excuse me, that's World Series champion Travis d'Arnaud. We can actually say good things about the Braves now because Kylie's not here.
Right.
Michael Conforto, Wilmer Flores, Kelly Johnson, and Matt Harvey. I'm sorry, I don't know half of those guys.
Couple of those guys ring a bell, but a lot of those guys we probably didn't even see again after 2015.
Oh, yeah, like Matt Harvey, their starting pitcher, he currently is in the minor league system of the Orioles. He went from starting game one of the World Series to pitching in the minor leagues.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy.
with all due respect, to the Mets, y'all had no business being in that World Series.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. People will say the same thing this year too when we're there, though. It's okay.
Nah, this time you guys got legit talent. I'll be honest. The Mets have really impressed me this year because we always expect that the Mets are going to collapse mid-season. They always do it. They've done it every single year since their World Series run, but they haven't. Their neighbors on the other side of New York have.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too to think about because those guys was just so hot, and it was just there was a time in the sports betting world you were like, you can't bet against the Yankees. Do not bet against the Yankees. And now it's like, should I take the Yankees tonight? Maybe I'll just stay away from the game as a whole.
Yeah, I as a Yankees fan, you should do that. It has been a rough month for the Yankees. Ever since the All-Star break, it feels like the Yankees have been stuck in a rut. They are no longer the best team in baseball. The Dodgers have pulled ahead of them by a significant margin. They're now no longer the best team in the American League because the Astros have heated up too.
Yep.
The biggest issue, what's happened is that the Yankees had a ridiculously easy schedule to start off the season. They flourished with that, but right out of the All-Star break, we have had one of the toughest schedules in baseball, and we've been getting exposed by other teams.
Yeah, last night was a great pitching matchup. So,
oh yeah, we got to talk about last night. Last night, the Yankees and the Mariners played what could be considered the game of the year if you're into pitching.
yeah,
That matchup, it was Garrett Cole And the guy on the Mariners, whose name I am drawing a blank, why I stayed up. I stay up until
Uh,
a.m. watching
Gil-
that game.
Gilbert.
Gilbert?
Was it Gilbert? Logan Gilbert?
No, it was. Wait a minute. I have my phone right here. Let me go to ESPN. I have
Castillo?
Castillo. Yes. It was Castillo and Cole put on probably one of the greatest pitching performances of the year. It was ridiculous. Scoreless until the bottom of the 13th when the Mariners walked it out. And all I'm going to say is just that's one of those losses that makes you want that you think is it's going to be hard for the team to come back from because I'll take a blowout loss. I'll take a loss where we played well, but a loss where we were held scoreless until the 13th into extras. That one is one you don't come back from. I'm
Especially power hitters you guys got in that lineup,
yeah.
man. Just too many power hitters to be not scoring until the 13th inning at all.
And
Well, you guys didn't even score during the game. There's just too many power hitters to not score during the whole entire game.
I know. And the thing was, I thought we were on the right track. I thought we were going to start seeing the Yankees start to win again because on Tuesday, not on Monday, the Yankees beat the Mariners in the first game of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Big win. We finally started producing again. But then reports come out. Oh, Matt Carpenter fractured his foot. He's going to be out for some time. Oh boy, he's going to be joining Giancarlo on the injured list. And then that 13 inning epic where we just could not score off the Mariners. And we had chances too. But they were just the Mariners pitching. Shout out to the Mariners. If they're currently locked in a really tight battle with the Orioles for the last wild card spot in the AL, if anybody deserves to go to the playoffs this year, it's going to be Seattle. They have just been playing lights out all season long. I don't even think J-Rod was playing last night, and they still did amazing.
Yeah, I was just about to say I don't even think Julio suited up last night.
Nah, he was not active for this game, but the sheer just so everyone who's watching understands how significant this would be. The Seattle Mariners, the last time that the Seattle Mariners made the playoffs, Tom Brady was only in his second season in the NFL. The Houston Texans did not exist.
Oh man.
There were at least 3 teams in the NHL that didn't exist, and George W. Bush was president. That's how long ago it was. It has been over 20 years since the Mariners last made the postseason.
Insane.
It's ridiculous. Like
that would be great for Seattle sports. They need something over there.
Yeah, because for the longest time, the laughing stock of pro sports when it came to long droughts was Buffalo because their last for the Bills for the longest time it was them who had the longest playoff drought. And now looking at Buffalo now, it's kind of crazy thinking they even had that.
And yeah, they're actually the Super Bowl favorite this year, so it's actually crazy to see what they overcame.
We're going to talk about them a little later. Looking around the rest of MLB. Bad news for the Red Sox to compound even more bad news. The Red Sox, who have been having just a really dreadful season out of the All-Star break. Chris Sale will be out for the year after suffering a freak accident on his bike. I'm trying to pull up just what the injuries were, but the way that the media was acting about it, it was apparently extremely bizarre.
Like motorcycle?
No, he was regular biking. Here we go. Jeff Passan reported this was yesterday. Chris Sale broke his right wrist in a bike accident last week, underwent season-ending surgery Monday. He had been dealing with injuries all season and had only pitched 5 2/3 innings.
Wow.
He actually hadn't played and he hadn't made his first start until July 12th because he had broken his ribs during the lockout.
Wow.
And then, on his second start of the season, he fractured his pinky when he got hit by Aaron Hicks on a line drive. And now, he's out for the rest of the year with a broken wrist after falling off his bike.
The guy sounds like the Anthony Davis of MLB. Just fragile.
And, I know I'm not supposed to like the Red Sox, but even I've got to be like, get well soon, Chris, because I can't cheer for players' injuries. I know there's many Yankee fans out there who will, because let's be honest, we Yankee fans have a bit of a reputation, and it's true. But yeah, you never want to see anybody get hurt that much.
Oh yeah, definitely. Never can cheer for injuries. That's just like when Dak Prescott broke his ankle. Me being a Commanders fan, even hating the Cowboys, I couldn't be excited that Dak Prescott had broken his ankle. It was like you can't.
Yeah, that one was bad too. I remember watching that game. Um, and I hate the Cowboys. Let's just be clear. I despise Dallas, but even in that moment, was like, ooh, yeah, I can't get
Yeah,
excited about that.
yeah.
So moving away from injuries to something that's more funny than sad. This past weekend, the Philadelphia Phillies celebrated their 1980 World Series team. It was their first World Championship. They beat the Royals in a pretty interesting series. And this they welcomed back the 1980 team during their game against the Nationals on Sunday. And this game marked the return of one person to a baseball field for the first time in nearly 30 years, and that was Pete Rose. Uh, MLB's hit king returned for the first time after his lifetime ban from baseball due to him betting on his own games. Now, I don't know a lot about Pete Rose. I know he was an incredible hitter. I know that he was an instrumental part of the Cincinnati Reds just dominating the 70s. And he was also a key contributor to the Phillies championship run. I didn't realize the guy was kind of a dick. He was in the booth for the Phillies games and he couldn't stop cussing while they were on air. And it was just watching that and then hearing all these stories coming out about the way he was treating some media members, particularly female reporters during that celebration. It was like, I'm starting to think they banned him for baseball not because of betting, but because he's just a douche.
Yeah.
And I get it. He's an old man, but like I'm kind of disappointed that Kylie isn't here today because I wanted to ask her about this. Kylie, has Pete Rose always been a dick? Like, I'm gonna be honest, like Pete Rose is before my time. I know he's the hit king, but outside of him being banned from baseball, I hadn't really studied him that much. And I know as somebody who loves sports history, I'm dropping the ball here. I apologize, but yeah,
Which-
the guy's kind of a dick.
when he was on air, was this recently that he was on air and he was cussing?
Yeah, it was on
Oh,
Sunday. He was on on Sunday, the Phillies broadcasters, they allowed members of the 1980 championship team to come on to the broadcast with them every inning. It was a different member, and I think it was either in the sixth or the seventh that Pete Rose came in. And I will say this: Pete Rose, every time there was a hit, Pete Rose would stop what he was doing or stop what he was saying and like laser in to focus on it. So that was cool. That was like, hey, he still got it.
right.
But yeah, he just could not keep it clean on the broadcast. The broadcasters were like having a fit laughing because it was so hilarious. Kylie and I were watching at work and we find it so funny. It's like, my God, this guy just does not get it. But then I read some of the stories. He was questioned about an incident back in the 70s involving him and possibly an inappropriate relationship, and he was kind of very rude to the reporter who asked it. And I get that there's a place and time to ask those questions, but at the same time, it's just you see the amount of stories coming out, and you're like, "Wow,
Right.
Pete Rose is kind of an asshole."
Yeah.
So
That's- Yeah, I don't really know too much about Pre Rose either, except him being a hit king as well. So
yeah, he
sorry, guys.
does he does have a fascinating career. I know ESPN ran a special study on ESPN did their own independent investigation around 2007, I believe, on Pete Rose and whether or not he actually bet on his games, and they found that, oh yeah, he did, and it went further than we thought it did. So
I'm very interested in him now, though, that I know he was a betting man. So I might have to look into him a little bit.
he is a fascinating character. I'll tell you that much.
Need to see what
Dur-
his was and why he was betting the way he was betting.
yeah. Well, during speaking of the Phillies, another thing that came out about the Phillies involves the Mets. Um, Keith Hernandez, famous Mets player, perhaps most famous for the Seinfeld bit he was in, where he allegedly spit on Kramer and Newman. Great episode if you haven't watched it. Keith Hernandez in the booth for one of a Mets games said, "This man uh, straight up said, I've scheduled to be off for the upcoming series against the Phillies. I just don't like calling their games." This man straight up said, "Yeah, I'm not calling the Mets Phillies series. I don't like the Phillies."
Wow. I mean, I feel him though. I understand him. You know, There's nothing to like about Philly. Phillies are the Philly fans, you know.
So he said the reason why he said this, he said, so his broadcast partner Gary Cohen like surprises everybody. He says, "You hate doing Phillies games," and Keith responds like, "They never seem to disappoint over the years, and they're hot right now. So I'd like to see them. But as far as fundamentally, defensively, the Phillies have always just not been up to it."
Yeah, I can definitely agree to that. I've seen them fold in the ninth inning a couple times to my Mets, so I know for a fact that defensively sometimes they don't bring it.
You know what though? I gotta give credit to Keith. At if you have, excuse me, if you have the balls to straight up say, "Yeah, I've seen this team play, and I just don't want to call their games anymore." A lot of broadcasters can't do that. There's a lot of broadcasters who I'm sure they get they get an assignment like for a tank bowl between two just terrible teams, and they're like, "Oh, great, I gotta call this game."
Hmm.
They don't really have a choice. It's
Or
crazy. It's crazy that Keith Hernandez can just straight up say, "Yeah, I'll do all the games except that one. I don't like the Phillies."
yeah, exactly. That is pretty cool.
I will say, again, I kind of wish Kylie was here because I'd love to hear her opinion on that.
Phillies
For
are
anyone
hot
who's
now, though. I'll give it to the Phillies. I think they're 12-2 in the last 14. So
They are still they're hanging on. They're up to second in the wild card standings, so they are safe for now.
yeah,
So if the season weren't in today, the Phillies would be in, which would end the second longest drought in the MLB. That would be crazy if the two teams that both have the longest droughts in Major League Baseball uh, both managed to make it into the playoffs in the same year.
yeah.
So a couple more things to go around in the world of baseball before we do our usual stat roundup. First up, the Padres broke a 26 inning scoreless drought with Juan Soto's first home run as a Padre. They went 26 innings without a run.
Wait, last night when he hit that home run, that was their first run in how many
I,
games?
so 26 innings. I think. Let me check here because I know I saw that news story, but I actually do want to double check that because I feel like the Padres have scored.
That's what I was saying. I feel like they scored before that because the first night they ever played together, they were absolutely going bananas.
Oh, no, it was. Okay. So the Padres had on August 6th in their game at the Dodgers. The Padres got 3 runs early in the game, but then got blown out 8-3, were held scoreless the rest of the way, and were shut out against the Dodgers in the next game and the Giants in the game after that. So it had been basically 2.5 games since they'd scored a
Yeah,
run.
I
All
was gonna
right.
say. I know that first night that they had that team together, Soto, Bell, all those guys.
Yeah.
Uh, they went absolutely crazy. Who was it that hit a grand slam his first at bat? Um, I forgot who it was, but somebody his first at bat as a Padre hit a grand slam, and I was like, these guys are going to be ridiculous. Then I started thinking back to when Kylie was like that they might sneak in the World Series, and I was like, they might do it now, but
Yeah,
no.
I'm getting a little bit nervous because the Padres, up until the All-Star game, were kind of on fumes. They had been struggling with consistency, but ever since the All-Star break, with the exception of that brief 5-game losing streak they went on with scoreless innings, they've been really hot.
Yeah,
Um,
and still don't have Tatis back.
yeah,
That's the scary thing.
no, they are. And San Diego fans are coming. People were asking how the hell are the Padres going to afford all these players? Well, media rights, and two, every game since the Soto trade has been a sellout.
Yep.
San Diegans are showing up in force because, to be fair, it's the only team they got. They don't have the Chargers anymore. They don't have a basketball team. There's no chance of having a hockey team because it's San Diego. So they come out and they're supporting their city, and that Petco Park is packed every night.
Yep.
It's crazy. A couple other stuff. Shohei Ohtani last night joined Babe Ruth as the only player to have 10 home runs and 10 wins as a pitcher in the same season. I did not know Babe Ruth was a pitcher.
I did not know Babe Ruth was a pitcher either. Wow.
Yeah.
The
That's
very learned something new today.
yeah. Let's see what else happened. A long time for trade rumors and any post trade deadline trades. The Red Sox traded Jackie Bradley Jr. to the Blue Jays, so one of their long contributors, who's been there for many of their World Series runs in the last couple of decades, he's gone now. He's going to the Blue Jays. I always liked Jackie Bradley Jr. He
Me
was one of
too.
the few Red Sox I respected.
Yeah, I've always loved Jackie too. I went to a Mets game last year, and Jackie was in the back in the outfield, and the fans were hackling Jackie and stuff like that, saying stuff to him. And after the inning ended, after every inning, he would just turn around, wave, he'll throw the ball to us and stuff like that. So I've always Jackie's always been a great guy to me.
Now, by the way, I just want to point this out for anyone watching. Calvin is watching the Mets game, right?
Yes.
Yes, the Mets are playing the Reds right now. They're up 1-0, bottom of the fifth. Oh, you got 2 on, nice. Oh my
I,
gosh, we need to beat the Mariners today.
yeah, I'm keeping it calm right now because it's the Reds. We should do our job against the Reds. There's no reason we shouldn't sweep these guys.
Yeah. So, as always, we always like to highlight some of the lot more lopsided games in baseball because that's what we like to do. But there weren't a lot this past week, except for the Phillies, who bullied Washington 11-5 and 13-1 in back-to-back games. The Red Sox are continuing to struggle. They got blown out 13-5 by the Royals. The Rockies beat the Cardinals 16-5. That one was a surprise.
That
And
was last night, right?
yeah, it was last night.
Yeah,
How
that
how
was.
do how do you give up 16 runs to the Rockies?
Yeah, it's just crazy. I think at a point in time it was like 12-0 too, which is insane.
I mean, I know Philly fans are going wild seeing the Cardinals the Cardinals lose. Finally, the Dodgers bullied the Twins 10-3 last night, which has opened up the AL Central wide open, which is how we now segue into our division standings.
Before you get into that, if you want me to be honest with you, that's the team that scares me the most right now is the Dodgers.
Oh yeah, no, the Dodgers are hmm, the Dodgers have no weaknesses. It looks like
Yeah, it's getting kind of scary over there in LA.
very, very scary. So division standings as we head into we're starting to approach the home stretch of this season. In the East, Yankees still hold first place in the American League East, but not by the same margin they had. Their summer slump has resulted in them now only being 10.5 games ahead of the Blue Jays. It was single digits until Monday when the Yankees beat
Wow.
thanks to the Orioles going on a hot streak recently. The Yankees' lead has been saved, but it's still tight. Tampa Bay is 12 games behind, pretty much out of it, but they're in the thick of the wild card race. Baltimore, 12.5 games behind. They are in the wild card spot at the moment. They're
I
doing
love
it. Boston, 17 games behind. They're pretty much out of it at this point. They are not looking. It's not looking good. In the Central, it's wild in the AL Central. Cleveland and Minnesota are tied for first place. The White Sox are only 1.5 games behind. This division is going to go down to the last day.
Yep.
It's crazy too because the White Sox. I thought the White Sox were going to be out of it because injuries started hitting. I know Tim Anderson has been out injured, and yet somehow the White Sox just keep finding ways to win.
Wasn't the White Sox my pick in that division? I believe
Let,
so.
I think it was.
I'm telling you.
How do you know about that? They're coming. They're gonna pull it off because Cleveland and Minnesota. Because Minnesota can't seem to. Minnesota, they're great at home, but away they've been pretty trash away.
Yeah,
Same with the
exactly.
Guardians.
They can't stay consistent. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the White Sox can't really stay consistent either, but I think they can get on more of a consistent streak than those other two teams.
And you know what team of those three has a winning record on the road? White Sox.
I love it.
White Sox are doing the work away from home. At home, they're kind of inconsistent, but away from home, they're getting it done. Kansas City and Detroit, meanwhile, 13 and 15 games back, respectively. We don't really have to worry about them anymore. They're already thinking about next season. Meanwhile, the AL West is pretty much set. Houston, 71 and 40. They are leading. They're tied with the Yankees for first place in the American League, and they're 11.5 games ahead of the Mariners, who have cracked 60 wins. So it's getting there. Texas is the rest of the rest of this division. Texas is 22 games back. The Angels are 23 games back, and Oakland is 30 games back.
That's crazy.
Yikes! Over the National League, NL East, not as tight as it was, but still pretty tight. Mets 7 games up on the Braves. You guys are holding them off for now. It was looking tight there for a little bit, but you guys have pulled ahead. Like to see it.
Me too.
Phillies have cracked 60 wins, but they're 10 games behind, so their chances of taking the division slim, but they can still take a wild card spot. Miami, meanwhile, 22 games behind. What the hell happened to the Marlins? I know early in the season when we talked about the Marlins, they were doing well-ish. Now they've completely fallen off a map.
Yeah, it's crazy. I have no idea what happened to those guys over there.
Yeah.
I think either Aguilar or Sanchez, one of those guys, got injured and it messed their mojo up there.
I would not be surprised. Washington, meanwhile, 35 and a half games behind.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to skip talking about them. NL Central, tight as ever. Cardinals, 1 game up on the Brewers. Rest of that division, Cubs and rest of that division, things have finally gotten normal there. In that the Cubs and Reds are ahead of the Pirates. Finally, NL West is pretty much set. Dodgers up 16 games over the Padres. The 22 and a half games behind is the Giants. Diamondbacks are 26 games behind, and Rockies are 28.5 games behind. I got a feel for the NL West because early in the season, the first 3 weeks, it was wild. They were all on top of each other, and now it's just the Dodgers have just killed everybody.
Yeah. It's insane. I told you, the Dodgers are the only ones that scare me right now.
Yep. Meanwhile, in the wild card races, Toronto is a game and a half up into the wild card spot. Seattle is half a game in. Tampa Bay is the last team in. Baltimore is half a game out. So, Orioles, let's get on it. In the National League, the Braves are 4 games safe. The Phillies are 1 game safe. Padres hold the last wild card spot. They are 1 game ahead of the Brewers for that last spot. So it's going to be intense.
Yeah, sounds like we got a nice little last couple months here of baseball.
I'm excited. Before we move on to talking about some NBA news, quick look at the stat leaders in the MLB. Paul Goldschmidt still leads the way in batting average, batting .329. He's actually tied now. He's tied. He's tied with Luis Arias of the Twins. Aaron Judge still king of home runs, 44 on the season. He's got to keep it up though. Judge also leading with RBIs with 98. Freddie Freeman is leading Trey Turner by just 1 hit on the season, 137.
See, right there. There it is. That's the scary thing. Back-to-back players on the same team right there, 1 and 2 in hits. Like, those guys are insane over there.
I really want a Mets Dodgers NLCS. That would be so much fun. I know it wouldn't be fun for you, but for those of us who are American League fans, it would be fun. Meanwhile, in stolen bases, John Birdie is leading there with 28. Shout out to the Orioles. Jorge Mateo and Cedric Mullins are only 2 and 4 games back of the stolen base leader. That's how the Orioles are getting it done. They're playing scrappy. I like it. Justin Verlander leads the way in wins with 15. Also leads the way in ERA with 1.73. So there's your Cy Young winner. Cy. Josh Hader leads the way in saves with 29. Garrett Cole, 178 strikeouts. He leads there. Quality starts with 19. It is Framber Valdez of the Asterix.
Had we got a full season of DeGrom, I think DeGrom makes a run in for that Cy Young as well.
Wasn't he carrying a perfect game like midway through? Wasn't he like having a perfect game at one point before he got pulled earlier this week?
Midway through the 7th, 12 strikeouts, perfect game. They pull him.
If he hadn't been hurt, they would have kept him in.
Yep.
I feel for you there, man. That is brutal.
But the perfect game ended up going to shit after they pulled him.
Oh my God. Okay. Brief tangent, but if we're talking about perfect games, I love my guys over at Secret Base. The sports writers, they make incredible sports content. Their new series Prism just started airing. It takes a look at it uses hindsight to look at sports stories that we all thought were going to be something completely different, like how Aaron Rodgers was hated by Green Bay fans for being drafted, or when everybody thought Greg Oden was going to be the next superstar of the NBA. Secret Base does a documentary series called Dorktown with John Boyce and Alex Rubenstein. I think I've hyped them up before on the show. They're incredible guys. Their work is incredible. I just finished watching one of their documentaries about Dave Stieb, who was the pitcher of the '80s, a great star pitcher for the Blue Jays, who basically helped Toronto become a baseball powerhouse. This man, had things gone right, could have had 7 career no-hitters and a perfect game.
Wow.
He lost 3 no-hitters and 1 perfect game in the bottom of the 9th. No, in the top of the 9th, excuse me. In the top of the 9th, the last batter with 2 outs with 1 strike to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. That'd be the day I retire. No way. He lost 2 perfect games. I mean, 2 no hitters like that.
2 no-hitters and a perfect
Yeah.
game.
No.
He does have a perfect game. He's the only member of the Toronto Blue Jays to ever have not a perfect game, excuse me, a no-hitter. He does have a no-hitter, but he could have had 7 career no-hitters. That's how good he was. He lost 6 no-hitters in the last second.
That's insane.
Yeah. Go watch Captain Ahab, the story of Dave Stieb. It is fantastic documentary.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to tune into that.
We're going to next move over to the NBA, where there wasn't a ton of news coming out. It's still off season. I will say the main NBA news kind of this past week was that the LeBron James NASCAR finished 16th at Michigan, so not bad. That car was hot though. That car was LeBron had siphoned his spirit into that car because Chris Buescher was running that thing up in the top 5, and he normally doesn't do well at Michigan. I was like, something's up here. Something's up. What did LeBron pay you guys to actually do good for once?
I love that.
The main thing we've been talking about is the kind of sort of drama surrounding Kevin Durant. And I say kind of sort of because it isn't. Well, actually, never mind. I didn't see this. Kevin Durant tells Nets owner to trade him or fire Steve Nash.
Oh wow.
It is an Athletic article. Please, I have like 5 seconds to see this. In a face-to-face meeting with Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai over the weekend, All-NBA star Kevin Durant reiterated his trade request and informed Tsai that he needs to choose between Durant or the pairing of general manager Sean Marks and coach Steve Nash. Durant stated he does not have faith in the team's direction, sources said.
Hey, I appreciate his honesty, but it just sounds like he's running from the grind, And there was another guy. There's another guy that was in the '80s who said his team wasn't going in the right direction. They went and got him Scottie Pippen and stuff the next year, but yeah. Instead of asking for the trade, like I said, there's another guy who said in the '80s his team wasn't the way he needed it to be. Instead of asking for the trade, he stayed down. They went and got him what he needed. Kevin Durant instead is saying trade me or this, instead of just staying down and having them get what he needs. But he's different from that guy in the '80s. That guy in the '80s is a little different than everybody else.
Yeah.
But
now,
yeah, go ahead.
See, to your point, Ben Simmons isn't exactly Scottie Pippen.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can see what Durant's issue is.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of Kevin Durant. I was one of those people who called him a snake when he joined the Warriors, but he does have a point here, and that is that the Nets are not going in the right direction.
That's
Brooklyn, with all the star power they've accumulated, with all of the potential they have, they should be contending for championships. But in this last window that they've had with this Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, they've only gotten to the second round. They have not been able to produce. And I think what Kevin has seen is that, okay, this team has issues that go far deeper. I think what Kevin's thinking is this team's issues I can't fix alone.
Right.
And what he's probably thinking is that he's probably seeing that the way that what he's probably seeing is that the coaching and the culture of the team isn't good, and it's something that he can't fix or that they can't fix by bringing in another player because it's just that bad. I mean, look what happened to James Harden.
I get that, and I agree with you on that. But then you also look at things like this, like I was just saying. So, yeah, he didn't make it to the championship and things like that in his first couple of years. But Jordan did make it to the playoffs without Pippen. Yes, he didn't get past the first round, but he made it to the playoffs. Like I said, he stayed down. Eventually, they get Pippen, do whatever, then they go win 6 championships. You can say the same thing about LeBron. When he first gets to Cleveland, Cleveland is not the coaching it needs to be or the players on his team that it needs to be. But this guy takes Mo Williams, Drew Gooden, and Ilgauskas to the championship at 22 years old. So, I get the it's not heading in the right direction thing, but it's like he can fix those problems if it's himself, if he had that killer instinct like those other two guys. That's just, me being me
Fair
though.
point. That's a fair point. I will say this: you make a good point. You make a good point. Um,
But then you can also compare it to Kobe too, because Kobe didn't really succeed until he got Shaq. Like Kobe was always great, but then he didn't start really winning championships until he got Shaq there. And
yeah,
then that's when he started to, learn how to win championships and take the team to the next level and stuff like that. So I do agree with Durant, but I also disagree with Durant all at the same time. I can see both sides.
I'll say this much. Well, first of all, he's making this offseason way more entertaining than I thought it would be. I legit had nothing prepared for the NBA because there basically nothing had happened until I checked to see what the Kevin Durant status was and saw that. But the Nets do have the Nets do have depth, I would say.
Mhm.
They traded for Royce O'Neal. They signed to TJ Warren. They brought back Patty Mills and Nick Claxton. They're going to have Ben Simmons and Joe Harris. They have depth there. But they also have something that apparently has scared Kevin Durant to the point that he's like, I don't want to be on this team anymore.
Right.
So I'm more curious about what exactly it is that what his issue is with the Nets general manager and with Steve Nash that makes him say it's either them or me.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I do remember when Steve Nash was hired as coach of the Nets, there was a lot of criticism.
Hmm.
And Steve Nash was a great player, but I think a lot of people were looking at that and wondering, okay, but is he actually a legit coach?
Right.
And so far, the answer has been, yeah, kind of. I mean, they make the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be very curious to see what exactly it is that Kevin is seeing with this team that he is like, I can't fix this. I gotta go.
Yeah. I get that.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I personally am going to be very interested. See, at the moment, the Celtics, Raptors, and Heat remain the most significant candidates to acquire Durant.
I don't want
Boston,
to Celtics.
yeah, no, that would ooh.
The thing is, the reason I don't want him in the Celtics is because everybody knows I love Jason Tatum just as much as I love LeBron. As soon as LeBron leaves, Jason Tatum is my new favorite player to take over. And I just don't want to see Durant there in the Celtics uniform. It's just it'll ruin everything. We got a nice solidified young group over there. It's cool.
Yeah, I I've grown to appreciate the Celtics, and they got something good there. I think the way that
Exactly.
they played in this last finals, they showed that they definitely belong.
Exactly. That
So
would make me hate them if they got Durant.
I think Kevin Durant. I know there's that old saying that every team that's great, that's on the cusp of greatness, needs that one last puzzle piece, but I don't think that's Kevin Durant for the
I don't.
Celtics. I mean, not everyone's going to luck in like the Raptors with Kawhi and have like a superstar actually be the puzzle piece, like what Kawhi Leonard did to the Raptors. I mean, look at how many teams over the last decade when we had that whole super team age, the brief age of the super team. How many teams went and got big stars and thought this is the last puzzle piece we need to get over the edge, and they did nothing.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
And only a couple of those super teams actually worked and actually won championships. Just like
The Warriors.
yeah. But then at the end, I mean, yeah, injuries played a factor and stuff like that, but you saw the one superstar in Kawhi take down the super team.
Yeah. It's it's one of those arguments that both sides make such good points that it's like it's one of those arguments that you love to have with people because both sides can make so many good points. You can advocate so much for the super team and how it's like it's basketball. All you need is like three guys in your set, but you can also do so much to argue about. But it's the depth that wins championships, and sometimes all it takes is one guy to take it down. It's a
Yep.
great. I love that argument so much.
Yeah, me too.
Well, we're going to quickly jump over to the world of ice hockey quickly. Not a lot happened this week. We did have two big pieces of news. Patrice Bergeron is returning to Boston for another season. This will be his 19th year with the Bruins. Uh, yeah, Boston is old, very old. Also, got some bad news for Carolina Hurricanes fans. To Samantha and everybody over at the name of the Superstorm. Why was it escaping my mind? The Superstorm podcast, which is another podcast affiliated with Old City Sports that covers the Hurricanes. Plug your ears for this one. Hurricanes' new acquisition, Max Pacioretty, will be out for 6 months with a torn Achilles, so he will most likely miss the majority of the 2022-23 season.
That sucks.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah,
That's gotta suck.
it really sucks. I hate leg injuries. Leg injuries are the worst.
Oh yeah, like so I've been lucky to go through life without having suffered an injury to my leg before. Um, but as someone who's a fan of motorsports, where leg injuries are the most common injuries, you hate to see it in any sport, especially hockey, where I mean, it's like it's so important to be to be strong, healthy down there because of how physical it is.
Yep.
So
I,
we'll
I
wish Max.
I hate
Go ahead.
seeing it in hockey. I hate seeing it live in basketball. Like that Paul George when Paul George broke his ankle, that was terrible. Who else? Kevin Ware. When Kevin Ware broke his ankle, that was terrible. Like,
Come on, bro. I ate before this. You gotta give me a warning when you're gonna bring up those.
my apologies.
Nah, you're good. So we're gonna wish Max Pacioretty a speedy recovery, because that really sucks. And we're gonna move on now to our last thing we're gonna cover today, the NFL, because football is back, and it is time to do some deep dives. First things first. We have our first big injury of the season. Mekhi Becton is out for the year with a fractured kneecap.
Mekhi back then sounds like he plays for the Chiefs.
Jets. He's the
Yeah.
Jets offensive lineman.
Okay.
He's the first big name player to go out with an injury this year. That's just it. Just will not get better for the Jets.
Yeah. I to be honest though, I think the Jets are going to surprise a lot of people this year. I got the Jets winning at least 5 games this year.
I have the Jets going 2-15. I have their schedule is so hard, man. No, they have such a hard schedule. They're going to be so bad. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Closer to the season, we'll do predictions for all the teams' records. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Anyway, this past week was the Hall of Fame game and Hall of Fame inductions. The 2022 class for the Hall of Fame, by the way, had some pretty big names. We had Dick Vermeil, who was who took two franchises to the two different franchises to the Super Bowl. Was the head coach of the greatest show on turf that won the Super Bowl in 1999, and is famous for his ability to turn teams around. I love Dick Vermeil. So glad to see him get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Shout out to him.
Cliff Branch, wide receiver for the Raiders, was a key part of their super teams of the 70s.
Yep.
We had Bryant Young, who was a one of the few 49ers players from the kind of dark period between Steve Young's retirement and the resurgence of them in the 2010s. Is one of the few bright spots on those kind of dismal Niners teams. Fantastic player. Tony Boselli, the first ever Jacksonville Jaguar into the Hall of Fame. He was an offensive tackle for the Jaguars from their debut season up until the early 2000s, and is one of the best linemen in NFL history. So always got to give a shout out to my fellow big guys.
Shout out to him, man. First Jaguar. Put that for him.
Yeah. Now I think the Texans are the only team left that doesn't have a Hall of Famer.
That's incredible. But
Well,
I mean,
they are
franchise for too long, but that's still incredible.
They've only been around for 20 years, so makes sense. Let's see what else we got. Richard Seymour. If you remember anything about the Patriots of the early 2000s, you remember Richard Seymour. One could make the argument that they carried Tom Brady to that first championship.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That defense was something else. Leroy Butler, who invented the Lambeau Leap, great safety who played for the Packers in the 90s. Fun fact, he he the reason he did the Lambeau leap in the first time is because in the game that it was invented against the Raiders, it was so cold out that when Leroy Butler scored off a pick six, all he could think about was, I need to jump in the crowd. I need them to warm me up. I need bodies around me. It's so cold. And that's why we have the Lambeau leap.
I love that.
We got Sam Mills, fantastic linebacker he was part of the Saints Dome Patrol linebacking corps, which actually was ranked by NFL writers as the greatest linebacking corps of all time. So the Saints actually won something legitimately.
Sam Mills was a crazy linebacker too. He was a headhunter. He
Oh
was
yeah.
a headhunter.
And the crazy thing was he was undersized.
I
Sam
was
Mills was he was a short guy, but he was just ridiculous.
Yep, he was one of those 5'10", 5'11" linebackers. He wasn't even a big 6-foot guy.
Yeah. Last person inducted into this. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Oh no, I was just saying he might have been 6 foot on the dot. That was yeah.
Oh, we do have a comment here. Our first comment of the day. Oh, it's Kylie. Kylie watching from wherever she is. Defenses love carrying Brady to victory. Hashtag Manning beta. Yeah.
I don't know about that guy. Tom is special, man. He's special, Kylie. Yeah, I won't take anything away from him. I have a. I'm not gonna say hate, but I have a dislike for Tom. The way that people dislike LeBron when I bring up LeBron.
That's actually really good. That's a really good comparison.
Yeah, it's like it's not that I hate the guy's greatness or what he's done or did to the game. It's, bro, you're old as hell. Why are you still here? I'm tired of seeing you winning. That's what it is.
Yeah. So the last member of the Hall of Fame class of 2022, Art McNally, who was the inventor of instant replay. Shout out to him. First official to ever get into the Hall of Fame. And I know people hate the refs, but if it wasn't for Art McNally, we wouldn't have instant replay.
You know what's crazy? Shout out to him, but some of those official replays still get teams messed up, which is so crazy because the Saints no call from a couple years ago when the Rams went to the Super Bowl. They played the replay 30 times. It was clearly a pass interference. And
yeah, that whole postseason, I have an asterisk on that whole postseason. That postseason didn't really happen.
The Patriots won that year, didn't they?
Yeah. That was their last title before the the dynasty fell apart. So
I remember that because you know what? I have an asterisk on that postseason as well because this is how stupid that Super Bowl was. I was sleeping the whole entire game. When I woke up, it was 3-3.
I remember me and my buddies in my apartment. That was junior year of college. My buddies and I threw this huge Super Bowl party. We were all hyped up, Patriots, Rams, rematch of 2001. It's going to be awesome. And I remember people leaving early. We had so many people crammed into our tiny ass apartment to watch. Oh man, it was rough. Shout out to everybody who showed up though. I know it was rough. We did manage to break even because the last two Super Bowl parties that I threw for the Chiefs Niners and then Rams Bengals went out without a hitch. So we finally got revenge.
Those were exciting Super Bowls though.
Yeah.
That Rams Patriots was so boring.
I know. And it wasn't even because it was good defense. Like I've gone back and watched a lot of Super Bowls from the 70s and the dead ball era where defense was king. Those games were fun to watch because the defenses were just so good. You understood the offenses were just trying to, slow, analyze, pick apart, try and find some weakness to get through. That Patriots Rams one was just both teams playing like shit.
Yep.
They were just they both realized we were not supposed to be here.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
That was also the Chiefs lost to Brady, correct?
Yeah, that was the one where D Ford got called for offsides when he wasn't offsides.
You see?
Yeah.
Shout out to the guy who just went into the Hall of Fame for instant replay. They played the instant replay on both of those calls 50 million times and still got it wrong.
Oh, trust me, Art McNally, he's like in his 90s now, living I think somewhere in Alabama. I'm sure Art McNally is just straight up like, that's not what I invented it for. God damn it! like those old officials didn't make as many bad calls because they like knew what they were looking for. I think it's just the current crop of officials just don't they're not paying attention.
And they got money on the line as well. So
Yeah,
those guys mess with the lines and the betting and stuff.
they have to. Uh, Speaking of the Lions, this was hilarious. Didn't get a chance to add this. On the first episode of Hard Knocks for this season, Aiden Hutchinson, the Lions' first overall draft pick, or first round draft pick, I should say, performed a near perfect cover of Billie Jean by Michael Jackson for the rookie show.
I
That boy has the best falsetto I've ever heard.
love that. That's funny.
Yeah. So we do have our first game to talk about, and in our first crop of games for preseason week 1. I don't know if you watched the Hall of Fame game. I tuned in for the first 3 quarters. I know it was third stringers playing, but good God, the Jacksonville Jaguars are still absolutely terrible.
I was gonna say the same thing, and I'm glad we're on the same page.
Oh, thank
I
God.
don't care if it's the third team or the first team. The Jacksonville Jaguars are still going 2-15 this year.
Kylie, I agree. I hate Doug Peterson. Problem. I know it was a preseason game. It was the Hall of Fame game. It should not matter. But Doug Peterson was so disgusted. I will say, Trayvon Walker, that boy's going to be a problem. He actually looked good. I don't know. The
Their
Raiders had some of their starters on their offensive line playing in the first quarter, and Trayvon Walker was actually doing pretty good.
That's the Jaguars DN, right?
Yeah, he's their first overall pick out of Georgia, the one that they everyone said was kind of a reach because he got predicted to be the first overall pick really late
Mm-hmm.
before the draft. Yeah, I mean the Jags. Okay, the Jags defense did an okay job in the first quarter. Oakland, screw it, they are Oakland. Vegas just torched their second and third units. Jacksonville's first unit defense actually isn't that bad. They're still not at the same level as, like, let's say the Bucs defense.
Just the crazy thing to think about that defense is they used to have Jalen Ramsey and Miles Jack at one time.
I know. The sacking of Saxonville is one of the most fascinating things to happen in the NFL over the last few years. Just how that team could have, the 2017 Jaguars could have been a superpower with how good that defense was.
They had Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey, Miles Jack. Who was the other guy that was on the DN? They had another DN.
Calais Campbell.
Calais Campbell. Oh, yeah. My gosh. They had
Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson, Yannick Ngakoue, Avery Jones, Miles Jack, Telvin Smith, Paul Postlesny, AJ Boye, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Colvin, Barry Church, and Deshaun Gibson.
Yep. Wow.
And Kylie says, still would have lost to Big Dick Nick. I don't know about. Well, yeah. No, they would have. Kylie, wherever you are that you haven't joined us, say, Kylie, of course they would have. The Eagles that season were emulating Rocky. They were not going to lose. That's right. They weren't going to lose.
And you guys had a powerhouse that year. LeGarrette Blount, Nick Foles. You had nice receiving core. Defense was on point. Malcolm Jenkins was head hunting.
I'll say this. I got a buddy who I work with who's been a friend of mine for a long time. His name's Noam. Great football guy. He likes to make the argument that half of the roster of the 2017 Eagles should go in the Hall of Fame. That's how good they were. He thinks the 2017 Eagles are one of the most talented teams ever assembled.
No, 100%. 100%. I actually like that Eagles team a lot. They were a very great team. And the thing about it is, too, people forget Carson Wentz was 12-2 before he got injured that year.
He was supposed to win MVP, but they had to give it to Brady just as like, you finished second, but because Carson couldn't finish the year off, here you go. You get it.
Right. Yeah, so even if they had Carson Wentz all the way to the end of the year, I still think they go to the Super Bowl and probably win it.
Kylie, you're welcome. I don't know why people Kylie, trust me, everybody knows Carson Wentz should have been MVP that year. We know. Well, we do have games to predict. It is preseason, so these are backups that are going to be playing, but we can still do our first line of predictions. I'm not gonna chart these just because it is in the regular season. Once regular season does start and we start doing our week by week game predictions for the NFL, I will be keeping track to see who actually got it right.
Okay.
But Calvin, let's see who's going to win in preseason week 1. So first up, we got Giants and Patriots, which is the NFL's actual best rivalry. I'm just saying.
Uh, uh, I mean, I got to go Patriots. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's Bill Belichick. I can't go against.
Yeah. Yeah. Belichick is definitely going to use this game to scout out the talent. And
Yeah,
yeah, I feel bad for the Giants. Also on Thursday night, Titans and Ravens, another great rivalry game. J.K.
Ray,
Dobbins is back. He's been activated. This should be the first time we get to see the Titans' new quarterback, Malik Jackson, in action. He's going to
I'm
be
going,
playing second fiddle to Ryan Tannehill.
I'm going Ravens.
Yeah. I hope they put J.K. Dobbins in just for a few series. I know he just came off of being injured. I was talking with one of my roommates last night. He just needs 1 or 2 series just to prove that he still got it.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we've got Falcons versus Lions. Little Hard Knocks game.
Gotta go with my guy Congo, man. I'm going with the Falcons.
I'll say the Falcons win this one, but I'm watching out for the Lions this year because the way that Dan Campbell has been hyping that team up during practice and has been on the field doing up downs with them, doing warm ups, getting physical with his boys.
I would love to see the Lions do something this year. I'm tired of seeing the Lions go 0-16, 0-17, 1-15. Like, I'm tired of that. I would
Yeah.
love to see them come this year. And it's actually crazy because I was just talking about it with my uncle the other day. Like, all these guys in the NFL, they all went and played college ball, just like the rest of them. They all got drafted or or were picked up by somebody and undrafted, just like the rest of everybody else in the NFL. I don't understand how every team in the NFL is not 8-8 across the board. Like we all got the same amount of talent for real. All these guys came from the same place.
Well, it all comes down to coaching. It all
Yeah.
comes down to coaching and team culture. It's what did in Jacksonville. Next up, a trash bowl: Browns versus Jaguars. The Jags are going to be starting their having their starters play the first quarter. So
You want me to be honest? I'm still going Browns.
yeah. um, I'll
And
take the Jaguars here just because I don't think the Browns are really going to do anything outside of the first quarter.
the reason I say Browns though is because with Deshaun Watson being suspended 6 games, I think he's going to get a lot of playing time in this preseason.
Shit, you right. Okay, yeah. Browns. We got the Cards and the Bengals. Cincinnati trying to starting off the season good, hoping to run it back this year and get another chance.
I'm going Cardinals.
Yeah. I've seen the Bengals backups play last year, and they're not that good. Kylie, if you're watching, this one's for you. Jets and Eagles. Question: what do people see in Jalen Hurts? Because all during pregame for the Hall of Fame game, all they could talk about was, "Oh, Jalen Hurts this, Jalen Hurts that." I don't get it. I've watched Jalen Hurts play, and I don't think he's good.
So this is my thing with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is one of those guys, like I was explaining that Kyler Murray is. He needs the 5-star guys around him. I think Jalen Hurts, I personally, myself, Isaac, I agree with you. I don't think the guy's that good either. You know, he doesn't really scare me too much. His receivers scare the hell out of me.
Oh yeah, no, the Eagles receiving core is frightening.
If he can get the football in his receiver's hands, that scares the hell out of me. But him himself, he doesn't really scare me too much. He hasn't shown me anything that I should be scared of yet.
I will agree to that. Pull up something. A couple more games to go through. Packers versus 49ers. Aaron Rodgers is ready to go full John Wick this season.
Preseason,
Jordan Love's probably going to be starting, by the way.
yeah, preseason, I think I like Packers. Preseason Packers. Regular season, I'll go Niners, but preseason, I like the Packers.
Ooh, I like that pick. First ever game for the Washington Commies. Panthers versus Commanders.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going with the Panthers.
I think Commanders take this one because the Panthers haven't figured out who their starter's going to be. It's going to be a battle between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. So we'll see.
You know what? I take that back. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go Panthers because we have some guys over there, and I think the culture is changing a little bit. We have Heineke and Sam Howell, who are both going to be trying to dominate to get that second string spot behind Carson Wentz. So I
Yeah,
think those guys will come out slinging against the Panthers, and we'll see what they can do.
I mean, a fascinating game to watch. Kylie with a little wince. Yeah, Carson's probably definitely got it.
There's been a lot of great talk about Sam Howell in Commanders training camp, though, and I love it.
Yeah. We got the Chiefs and the Bears. I personally think I've seen the Chiefs backups play. Give me the Chiefs.
I like the Chiefs too.
Yeah. We got Colts and Bills. Matt Ryan's first game as a Colt. Don't know if he's going to get any reps yet, so I'm going to go with Buffalo.
I'm gonna go Buffalo too. Those second string guys over there are pretty okay.
Seahawks and Steelers. Geno Smith will be getting the start for the Seahawks. The Steelers are entering a very interesting quarterback battle where it will come down to either Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, or Kenny Pickett.
And I hate that because the thing is, I really think Dwayne Haskins is going to dominate all those guys this year. I really do. But I want to go Steelers just because they have all three of those quarterbacks, and I think they'll all try to prove themselves. So I'll go Steelers there.
I'm rooting for Kenny Pickett, so go Steelers. Let's see. Next up, we've got my boys, the Sunshine Bowl, Dolphins and Bucks. By the way, Tampa Bay is now down 3 starting offensive linemen. Our backup center just got carted off the field today during training camp. Mike Evans has busted his hamstring once again. Chris Godwin is walking on eggshells, and Leonard Fournette showed up overweight to camp, and Tom Brady's already screaming at his teammates. So go Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dolphins on that one too.
I'm scared for this season. I know it's preseason, but I'm already scared. The Bucks. This has been a very bad offseason for Tampa Bay.
Speaking of the Dolphins, didn't they just get like a couple draft picks taken and stuff because of that Tom Brady thing?
Dolphins did, yeah.
Yeah.
Saints versus Texans. Jameis Winston may be getting reps here for the first time since he tore his ACL.
I'm gonna go the Saints. The Texans are just absolutely garbage. I don't care if it's preseason, regular season, what season.
Me too. Cowboys and Broncos. Will Russell Wilson actually see action? I hope he does. Go Broncos.
Even without Russell Wilson, I like Broncos.
Oh yeah. We got the Battle of LA, Rams and Chargers. By the way, these two teams play in the regular season too. So
that's going to be a great defensive battle in the regular season. That Chargers defense here is ridiculous.
They might end up getting Roquan Smith too because he wants out at Chicago.
If the Chargers, I don't even want to talk about that. Let's just. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Chargers because I think the Rams are just getting ready for the Bills. Everybody thinks the Bills are gonna beat the Rams week 1. I like the Rams week 1, so I'm gonna go Chargers with this one.
I am so excited for that week 1 game. So excited. I got my schedule for the community college I work at released our official schedules for our fall sports. And I panicked yesterday because I briefly was like, oh, wait, no, I don't have any games on the 8th. Do I? Oh, thank God I don't. Okay. I was just like, whoo, all right, normal work day. Get off at 4, get home at 5, make the 8-layer dip, watch this game.
Yep.
I'm going to take Chargers for Battle of LA because you were right. Rams are probably just focused on week 1 because that game could end up being basically the top 2 teams in the NFL battling it out. Last game of preseason week 1, clash of new head coaches with the Raiders and the Vikings. I will say this, after watching the Raiders play, even though they won, Josh Jacobs looks awesome. They've got some awesome backups, but they better pray to God that Derek Carr doesn't get hurt because Jarrett Stidham is not it.
I'm going to go Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings. All right. Well, that'll wrap it up for our all of our topics. Before we finish things up, our Goober of the Week. Calvin, I'm curious if you saw this. Did you see what happened to Rodolfo Castro of the Pirates yesterday?
No, I did not.
Rodolfo Castro slid headfirst into third base in a game against the Diamondbacks.
And his backs last night?
Yeah, they lost 6-4 last night. Rodolfo was sliding into third base, and his cell phone came out of his pocket.
No way.
I wasn't able to get the clip locked up, but I swear if you go online, you will see it. Rodolfo Castro had his phone on him and it fell out of his pocket in the middle of a game.
That is hilarious. It's just so funny because it's like even the sports guys don't even take it's serious anymore. Like, what was he gonna do with his phone? Like, put himself on social media on live when he walked across home base or something?
You know what I think he was going to go for? Do you remember the Saints wide receiver whose name is escaping me, who scored a touchdown, had hit his cell phone in the
Yep.
goalpost?
Yep.
Yeah, John Horn. John Horn scored a touchdown and pulled his cell phone out of the goalpost padding and called somebody. I think that's what he was trying to do.
That's hilarious.
And people ask why we don't take the Pirates seriously.
That is hilarious.
So there's your Goober of the Week. Backup for Goober of the Week goes to streameast.com. Fix your damn streams. I tuned in 2 nights ago to watch the Mariners Yankees game, and all I got was a purple screen of death and in the Padres game for some reason. I'm not trying to watch that.
That's hilarious.
All right, Calvin, we're going to wrap this up a little early because Kylie's not here not to do Two Facts and a Lie, and I'm working on something new for the show. So we'll do that next week when we're all back together. But Calvin, wrap us up. What do you got for our best bets of the afternoon?
I like one bet and one bet only today. The Yankees over the Mariners. Slam them. There's no way they lose 2 days in a row.
Have you been watching?
No,
Oh,
no
okay,
way.
Okay.
No way they lose 2 days in a row and go scoreless 2 days in a row. Yankees over the Mariners.
Hey, Nasty Nestor is pitching today. I'm gonna be tuned in. They better start getting it together. I know we're basically a lock for the playoffs at this point, but I swear to God, if this slump keeps going out through the entirety of August into September, I'm burning my jersey. I'm not actually going to do that, but I'm putting the jersey back in the closet and keeping it there for the rest of the season because it is ridiculous. I hope you're right.
I feel that. I was the same way for a little bit when we were in our group chat and when you guys were saying to me, is it happening when the Mets started to get on that losing streak? I haven't worn my jersey since then. I might start pulling it back out now, so we'll see what happens.
I hope you are right. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this week's episode of Beer Battered Sports. 29 episodes. We're almost to 30. We should do something special for 30 episodes.
We should.
We'll
I'm gonna. Well, Congo said he can only do Sundays right now, so
yeah. We do want to have Congo back on, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, we got to do something special for 30 episodes. If you guys liked what you saw, heard, tune in next week and maybe check out that support button to help us grow and improve. You can watch this whole thing and more on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram at BBS Pod. We'll also ask questions for future episodes and post them on socials. We're always active with our followers. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to all of our sponsors and Old City Sports Network. As always, take it easy, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.